I would like to hand over to our colleagues from Beiersdorf, Jens Uwe on the one hand side and Torge. Are you ready? Is the technology ready to onboard them and to have their finalist presentation? Yes, looks good.
Perfect, then I think we can start. So a warm welcome from our side. Before we start with our presentation about data excellence in the product innovation process, we want to shortly introduce ourselves. So today I will present together with Jens Uwe, who joined Beiersdorf after as chemical engineer just 2 years after my birth. So he is working for more than 23 years with Beiersdorf and about 20 years in the area of master data.
So, and with me, so Torge, welcome to Torge. Torge is not only quite young, as you have heard, but also pretty new with Beiersdorf. So Torge started 1.5 years ago at Beiersdorf Shared Services, and Beiersdorf Shared Services is the IT partner of Beiersdorf. Torge is very experienced in agile project methodologies and programming beside ABAP code, which helped a lot in our project we will now present to you. What can you expect during the next 30 to 35 minutes? You will see 2 innovations in the product master data area for Beiersdorf. On the one hand side, our pretty new cool Fiori application, which delivers data excellence to our supply chain project leaders. In our innovation process for products, they are responsible for keeping the launch dates for our new developed products in the shelves and also in the web shops. And on the other hand side, we want to show how we achieved this user-friendly app by agile project methodology and different agile tools. And this is in the area of supply chain product master data, the first time we use those kind of methodologies and also tools. And we want to present then our result now. The agenda is as follows. We want first to set the scene, some words, then we will present our starting point, then we will describe our journey and our results, and at the end you will see our learnings and what we have planned in the future. But at the beginning, some words about our company, about Beiersdorf. So Beiersdorf is about 138 years old. And Beiersdorf has 2 business segments. One is consumer and the other is TESA. Today, we will talk about our consumer part. With the strong global brands we have, with Nivea, Eucerin, La Prairie, so Beiersdorf is the worldwide leader in skincare. But also on regional and local scale, we have additional strong brands like Labello 8x4, Florina. You may have seen them in the shelves or bought them even. With our company, we have about 7.7 billion group sales in 2019 and around 20,000 employees in more than 170 affiliates are caring for our consumers. You can imagine that such a big company has also a quite amount of master data. And especially as fast-moving consumer goods company, we have to manage also a huge number of product master data. To be prepared for the future in terms of new product innovations and also the digitalization challenges, we are currently starting a master data management program, which will keep us busy during the upcoming years. In the following chart, we want to show the principle of our to-be system landscape we want to develop within our MDM program. This is a rough scheme of our program, and the main target of our overall program is to have a very integrated architecture for all kinds of master data domains, and especially based also on end-to-end business processes. The target architecture is based on 3 pillars coming from several business areas. One is the innovation area coming mainly from R&D and brands. We have operational systems coming from the supply chain mainly, and the consumer channels, which will be managed by our sales colleagues. On top, we will set up a central MDM hub on an enterprise level, which will operate a single point of truth for master data and will be the sustainable master data backbone also for our digitalization initiatives. And last but not least, by implementing the data dashboard, we will focus on the two aspects of quality, data quality and end-to-end process quality. With this system landscape, we want to support our core business process at Beiersdorf, which is the product innovation process. The next slide will show you some details about the product innovation process. This process is a stage gate process and is characterized by two main phases. So we have first the creative phase and second execution phase. While in the first phase, a lot of creativity and iterations are needed to design the best products for our consumers, the execution phase based on speed and efficiency to bring the products as far as possible and with the highest quality on the shelves and web shops. Within this process, we have about 400 projects per year, which are resulting in about 7,500 different SKU each year as well. For our case, we want to present today, we will focus on the execution phase of the innovation process. This phase is characterized by standardized processes for procurement, quality management, production, logistics, and so on. And normally the duration of the phase is between 2 and 6 months, depending really on the projects and also on the area of launching the products worldwide. Besides the high data quality, what is needed, there's needed the focus from the supply chain project leaders to ensure the launch dates as already mentioned. So with the start of the execution phase, the launch dates, this is freezing zone, the launch dates are already fixed, also the assortment, and then the supply chain project leaders are responsible to take care that the launch dates will be kept during that project. To support this, we have about 25 supply chain project leaders worldwide, and they are responsible to manage roughly 15 projects in parallel. So their main tasks are ensuring the launch date. They have to safeguard the availability of master data, especially in production and in logistics. And in addition, so they have to coordinate all the mainly in supply chain located colleagues, about 10 to 20 per project, coming from production, logistics, quality, and so on. This is a very intensive and hard work. And the next chart should show you some aspects of the challenges for the supply chain project leaders. So the first one is keeping the launch date. So timekeeping is really crucial. And this is the main focus of the supply chain project leaders. And the supply chain project leaders have to trigger their project members accordingly if there any data are missing or if there's any delay in the data management. In terms of quality, so they have to take care mainly for data availability and completeness, including the release status of the respective master data. For the content of the master data itself, the responsibility is within the functional departments. Then it's really necessary for them to have transparency. So they need it for two aspects. First aspect is they need the transparency about their entire project. So which materials are in the project and how the status of the respective master data are. And on the second hand side, they need clear differentiation between the running projects they have. So as said, up to 15, so it's really necessary to have a clear differentiation. The combination of all these challenges leads to the requirements of the supply chain project leaders to have a tool which is supporting process quality and trustworthy master data. So far, we have described the framework, the boundary conditions, let's say, and the challenges of the supply chain project leaders, which are the consumers of our new Fiori application. Torge will now continue with the starting point of our project.
Yes, thanks Jens-Uwe. So after we are getting a short introduction into Beiersdorf, the master data management program, and the innovation process at Beiersdorf, we would now like to focus on our project. So supply chain project leaders need a transparent view on their project-specific assortment and invest a lot of time to keep track of the related master data and build up tracking files in Excel. So the creation and building of these Excel files require a high manual effort, and this is very inefficient. So the only tool which could support the supply chain project leaders in their daily business faced some critical problems. So the tool does not offer the availability of future upgrades and, more important, only limited possibilities for security patches. The license fees were very expensive, and we don't have internal know-how at Beiersdorf Shared Services, and this leads to really high maintenance costs because for every issue we need external consultancy. So the former solution had a very limited user friendliness, and the user interfaces were really old-fashioned. So I want to stress the importance of the user experience, because the old-fashioned user interfaces and that we are not dealing with real-time data leads to the fact that supply chain project leaders are not trusting the data and prefer to work in Excel. To support the work of the SCPLs in a better way, we decided to substitute the old solution, and we discuss various options to substitute it. For example, a central master data report or a business intelligence report. But finally, we decided to build up a new Fiori app. The main criteria for this decision were the advanced user experience, the multi-device capabilities, and the short realization time. So this new multi-device application has a really strong focus on transparency of product master data in the innovation process and an improved user interface. But before we want to show this new app to you, we would like to focus on our agile journey, which leads to our pretty Fiori app. So the implementation project for this new Fiori app was a pilot project for an agile project methodology in the area of supply chain product master data. We started our journey end of 2019 and delivered the first version of the app mid of 2020. At the beginning, we decided us for a combination of different agile approaches to get the best results for our supply chain project leaders. The agile methods and tools ensure high process quality in product development projects and high user acceptance through significant optimized user interfaces, which leads to a very great user experience. So we've chosen Kanban as project methodology, and this enabled us to ensure that we were in close exchange with the functional departments, especially by our dailies. With this methodology, we have coordinated all the tasks for the whole project team with about 7 people from different areas. Furthermore, we had really a high level of transparency in the work processes, and it was easier to track the project status. We started our agile project with several workshops with different supply chain project leaders where we discussed various options for data and user interfaces. We use design thinking as user-centric design approach to really understand the motivation and the needs of our target group and to build a paper prototype based on those. After we've improved this paper prototype with feedback from end users, we focused on prototyping with build.me and created a study with this tool to gain feedback from all supply chain project leaders worldwide and include them in key decisions like relevant master data or filter possibilities. We pick up this feedback from supply chain project leaders to improve our app directly within the development phase. The supply chain project leaders involved in this study are responsible for different brand groups. This ensures that our app can be used across brands. This user-centric design approach with different cycles and iterative feedback as part of our agile project methodology leads to enormous improvements of the app, especially in relation to user experience and the user acceptance. During the entire duration of the project, we had a strong focus on our target group, the supply chain project leaders. We clearly focus on their needs, and we had a really close exchange with them by our dailies. This was our agile way to deliver a really user-friendly app, which we want to show in the next slides. So let me proudly introduce our SCPL IRM monitoring app to all of you. Supply chain project leaders have different options to filter for their specific materials related to their innovation projects. The easiest way is to use their own project numbers. After entering a project number, user can get an overview of all related materials. The user can now see all relevant master data at a glance. We provide information on general data like material number or material description, but also different status like bill of material status for finished and for bulk materials. The app provides different drill-down possibilities to ensure high transparency through all maintained master data and all displayed status. For example, a user can see why a status of a specific document, like an artwork, is yellow. So we see all packaging materials in a list with detailed information, and we can see that some of these documents are not released yet. The supply chain project leaders now know that they have to trigger local marketing to release their artworks. It is possible to display these documents on a mobile phone by clicking on a specific artwork. What we can see is the artwork of a typical Nivea cream tin. Perhaps you have already opened your CDQ event box. So this Nivea cream tin is exactly this example, what we can see here. By checking the bottom of the tin, you will find master data information, which are the result of the maintenance process in the innovation project. So all the details for the tin are in the app, and the supply chain project leaders can also view all documents like artworks or special specifications. So after we've seen the fully comprehensive mobile version, we want to have a look on the desktop version. Basically, we have there the same functionalities like we have on the mobile version. So here we can see that we have a clear screen structure, split it into two main areas, the filter area on the top of the page and the result table on the bottom, which is really easy to follow for the user and very intuitive. So as we know, the easiest way is to start with a project number, but it is also possible to start with a specific material number or with a production center, for example. For sure, in the desktop version, supply chain product leaders are able to see more materials on the screen. We have implemented a traffic light system for relevant document types to ensure a high user experience. For supply chain project leaders, it is really easy to identify problems with this system. To support the supply chain project leaders best, we decided to not only change color of the icons, we also changed the shapes. We ensure that the user detect problems or missing master data, even while scrolling to a high amount of materials very quick. So this is very important, because if we have a red light, for example, for an artwork, the material will not be produced. And in the worst case scenario, this will result in missing the listing window and leads to a high financial damage. So the desktop version provides the same drill down possibilities like the mobile version. It is possible to get bill of materials, logistical data, or different documents. Supply chain project leaders can select every traffic light to get different document types. For example, different specifications like third-party manufacturer specification or packaging specification. Here we can also check why a special status is set for this document, but we will follow up with another artwork example. Here we can see on the top of the page all packaging materials, and on the bottom we are able to see the PDF file directly after clicking on respective document. So, and surprisingly, this is the Nivea for Men cream tin, which you will find in the event package if you haven't got the Nivea cream tin. But what is about the feedback of the supply chain project leaders, the consumer of our Fiori app product? So after the go live of our first version in mid of 2020, we received consistently positive feedback from all supply chain project leaders for our new SCPL monitoring app. At the beginning of the project, we set ourselves different goals, and the feedback confirms them in different areas. So the trustworthy data, the user friendliness, and the process efficiency. This feedback is really nice for us because you often don't get praise for IT projects. Now let's come to the next chapter, our achieved results. First, I want to summarize the innovation aspects. The innovation aspects of this new multi-device app contains 4 different parts. The supply chain project leader monitoring app is the first own developed master data Fiori app at Beiersdorf. And with our great result and with building internal know-how, we strengthen the IT role in future key areas. We provide an app with a very intuitive and user-friendly design. Our journey and our approach leads us finally to an app with a really great user experience. Secondly, the project was a pilot project in the area of supply chain master data, and we used different agile approaches like Kanban, design thinking, and build.me, which leads to enormous improvements and a very good user acceptance. We involve nearly every supply chain project leader within the development phase and gain worldwide feedback to deliver an app that is tailored for their specific needs. We are focused on process quality to safeguarding timely availability of our products in the shelves of our customers. Through a high transparency in the execution phase of the innovation process, we increase the process quality significantly. And in our opinion, it is worth to not only focus on data quality, but also on process quality, because it is as important as data quality. And in our case, the higher process quality also leads to a higher data quality. So the last point is, and a really significant point in times of digitalization, is the device independency. By providing a fully comprehensive mobile version, the data is nearly always available for supply chain project leaders, even on smartphone or tablet. This is really a great and innovative achievement in our supply chain master data area. Jens Uwe will now continue with the data excellence aspects of our results.
So after we have seen the innovation aspects, I will come now to the data excellence. And we have there 5 aspects how the data excellence is covered by this very new Fiori app. So first of all is the high data transparency of the app, so covering the complete execution phase of the product innovation process at Beiersdorf. And this leads to a very quick identification of missing master data. The app itself delivers more efficiency, especially with an excellent assortment overview, with comprehensive drill down possibilities, and with detailed master data on field level or on document level, as you have seen. We can use one app across all our brands, as you have seen at the beginning of our presentation. So we have not only Nivea and Eucerin, which are mainly known as cosmetic products, but we have also Hansaplast or Elastoplast as medical devices or even as drugs. And we have also Coppertone in the US with OTC drugs. So we can use these products also with a tool, and we can support the supply chain project leader really with one tool in their project activities. We have one single point of truth for the supply chain project leaders, also for all brands, for the entire assortment, and they are able to keep track of missing data really on this single point of truth. So in opposite to the past, where they have looked into different tools and used some Excel sheets to take care for the timing and for their master data. And the mobile version is not only able to deliver this data on a mobile level, but we have also this real-time availability of master data, which is also available on our mobile version, not only on the version which is working on the desktop. So after we have seen the data excellence, we come to the last one, which is the business value. And we have here again also 5 blocks. So first one is the timekeeping and ensuring of the launch dates. So as explained, so the supply chain project leaders, their main task is to keep track of the launch date of their entire assortment. And that's really the most crucial task of them in the product innovation process. And the app helps the SCPLs to run the execution phase very more efficiently, and it's then easier for them also to keep their assortment on track. We are focusing on process and data quality. On the one hand side, the supply chain project leader are able to detect identification or to identify problems very easy in the area with a pretty good overview of their assortment. And they can generate predictive reactions towards the members of the project teams. And there, you have seen the support by the tool. So there are good drill down possibilities where all the data which are needed to keep an eye on are displayed by the tool. We improved significantly the user experience in a far better way as in the past. And we have really focusing on real-time data and combination of different product master data like materials, bill of materials, documents, and so on. And we combined them all in this overview on the desktop version and even on the mobile device with traffic lights, with status information. And so it's really easy to work for the supply chain project leaders with this tool. We not only had a project where we set up the tool, but in addition, we had an old tool which we detached, and we had there a cost saving of about 80,000 euro per year due to the license fees and maintenance costs. The one-time efforts for this new application were about 35,000 euro. So a very good cost effect, but in addition, we also simplified with this activity our system landscape. And last but not least, this is also regarding the excellent feedback of the supply chain project leaders. So we can easily adopt the principle we invented here for other areas of the product innovation process. And this can be used not only in the area of supply chain, so there's a high capability to work with such tools available, but even in the area of marketing and research and development. So far regarding our business values. And now let's come to our learnings and our next steps. So what are our learnings? The first, and I think the most important of all, is change management. And especially the change management regarding the mindset of the colleagues, but not only of the colleagues which are working in the project, but also of their respective management. So they really need to understand how agile methodologies are running and how they can support their colleagues in which way they can support. It's really important to understand, for instance, to safeguard the working space where the project members can work together undisturbed on their projects. And in addition, for sure, we need to train also methodologies and tools, but I think the mindset is the most important one. The user acceptance is significantly higher with those tools. So we developed in the past a lot of transactions and also a lot of applications in our system landscape. So from my experience, this is one of our really best tools we implemented during my years at Beiersdorf. And this is, from my point of view, really due to this methodology and this cycles over the entire product development, app development, together with the supply chain project leaders. And then a really interesting topic. So we have the experience that the common hands-on tools, so like Excel, maybe also Outlook, they were very resilient. I don't know if there are similar experiences also in other company. Maybe this is only a Beiersdorf challenge, but there were some trainings to be done to convince all of them to work with a new tool. So,
yes. Last but not least, a more technical learning. So we experienced that different user interfaces behaviors of the standard browsers like Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, or Google Chrome. And this is caused by the SAP UI5 framework, which is the basis for our Fiori app. And this HTML5 framework behaves slightly different in the standard browsers, and this leads to different representations. So you have to set a standard browser for the app. So what are our next steps? So one is already started. The great feedback from the supply chain project leaders led to our next Fiori app for local marketing. So the go live will be hopefully next week, but I'm sure that the go live will take place. And we have already planned adjustments to improve the user experience, like providing possibilities of personalization. And we are planning to realize automated trigger functionalities to take more weight off the SCPL shoulders. So thanks for your attention, and we wish you a nice and creamy Christmas time. Stay healthy, and we would be happy to answer your questions now.
So we won't let you go without a couple of questions. And there's one question that has been raised by Olaf Kexel in the chat that is basically raising the point that you have talked a lot about the app per se, but a little bit less about what you find out when you made master data quality transparent to the users. So could you somehow perhaps elaborate a little bit what you learned about the product master data quality in the back end? And Olaf, you may add if there are additional follow-up questions.
Okay, so I'll try to answer the question. So for sure, so the first, I think, topic of the app is the transparency, and the app makes the data quality issues we have in the backend more transparent. And so the supply chain project leader has the chance to react much earlier regarding this missing or inconsistent or not released master data than before. So in the times before, so they had their Excel sheets, and they copy and paste data from one system and second system to the Excel sheet, combined them and calculated them, and they find exactly the same results. So there was not an improvement ad hoc regarding the data quality, but was improvement regarding the timeliness of data and the availability of data in time in the product development projects.
Okay, yes. I also understand the question in a sense that, I mean, is that something that you actually can also use as a way to raise awareness and continue working on the product quality with the supply chain persons that you're basically addressing with this app?
Yeah, I think that's can pretty good work. So from my point of view, if this tool may develop as tool for everybody, so everybody can monitor their activities themselves. So then it is, I think, a good learning for the entire company, not only to monitor the status and the product development stages by the supply chain project leaders, but by each department, and though they can take care by their data by themselves, so and not only triggered by the supply chain project leaders. So this may be a good idea to have this available everywhere, and I think we started already as Torge mentioned, so we have this available latest next week within the local marketing. So they then already know which materials are coming and which status they have, and they can maybe finish their local artwork activities better in time than before.
Okay, there are two questions that are related to process metrics from David on the one hand side. So how did you handle the improvement for process metrics? So you mentioned that this interplay between data quality and process quality is something that is very important for you. Did you bring also some transactional data in to inform values for static master data, is the question here.
So the process quality is especially in enabling the supply chain project leaders to react much earlier regarding missing master data or not released master data. They can react earlier and can trigger the colleagues in their departments earlier, not to miss at the end the launch date. So that's the main focus at the moment. For sure, we could also involve that more transactional data if necessary, but at the moment we do not have this planned due to the fact that our product development process is very much focused on master data, and I think this would be then the step afterwards, after we have then rolled out this through the entire teams in our product development processes. So the main focus at the moment is not at transactional data. Maybe this can help a little bit more than also regarding special timings, but at the moment it's not planned.
Mm-hmm. And I think one idea was, if I interpret the question correctly, also is whether you have some process metrics that actually could be related, so that you see somehow, I don't know, there was a positive effect on having this transparency on basically improving also process metrics. And this is also in the second question from Thorsten Umsonst from Nestle, sorry, who asks what the effect on overall lead time for creation of products and depending objects is.
That's a very good question. Thank you. But let's come to the question before. So we do not have this process metrics itself. So we can only at the moment rely on the feedback of the supply chain project leaders, which are saying helps us very much, and we are much faster than before. So there are no counter running, and we have no concrete figures for that. So regarding the lead times, yes, this would be a good idea to have this available, but from our experience, the product development phases are mainly influenced by development topics and by coordination topics between departments. So one example is to develop a formula takes a while, and then you can implement a traffic light for developed formula, which may be yellow, but if the developer is not ready yet, so it will not turn in green, he needs his time to develop his formula. So this cannot speed it up. The second example is, which is very crucial for us as well in the communication, especially with the affiliates, the artwork example. So we have in the freezing zone, you have seen at the beginning, so there are the master artworks ready. So this means the look and feel of the product. So every affiliate knows how it should look like, and then the affiliates itself have to provide data which are on the back of the product. And if the affiliates are not sure regarding legal marking or legal and format of product marking, expiry date, something like that, if this is not clarified, the process just stops. And then a tool doesn't help. A tool helps only in the case everything is automated somehow, and then I think you can gain some measurable efficiency. So this is now just to trigger the colleagues in the process at the time that they just can take care for the data and be in time also for the launch date.
Okay, I think that also links up nicely to the next question from Norbert Rignal from MSD. And this is about whether your MDM strategy and governance is decentralized, meaning product specification in one system, material master in MDG system, bill of material operational systems. He was a little bit interested in well, understanding a little bit your level of centralization and decentralization.
Oh, thank you for the question, Robert. So we are in some aspects we are decentralized. So you're totally right. So we are decentralized, organized regarding data domains. So we have different responsibilities in data domains like vendor, customer, product, and so on. And in addition, as you have seen also in the chart, so we have also these three, let's say, departments or areas, I would say, of R&D and brands. We have supply chain and we have the sales. And in these areas, we have currently also different responsibilities regarding product master data. So our main goal in this upcoming project is not only to implement those kind of tools which enable a centralized master data management, but also to set up a common strategy for product master data and even for all master data domains. And in addition, also to harmonize the governance processes within the product master data domains in the different areas. So this will be a really great challenge for us, but we already started to align with our peer colleagues.
Okay, thank you. So I also have this, I don't know, I cannot show it, my small little Nivea potty. So thank you very much for adding not only a presentation, but also for adding something to our box. Yeah, so I can also summarize a little bit the jury feedback that we also got. So first of all, I think what was very well received was that your project addresses one of the core processes and a very important one when it comes to master data, always a very critical one, because it's product innovation is on the one hand agile and market oriented and obviously complex, but especially if you have a global organization. But on the other hand, you try to actually do that with agile methods and actually building on some existing tools and systems that you already have in place instead of having just like one additional add-on. And here, I think in the submission, it was also very clear that you changed the way that you design such applications and involved users in a much more intensive way than in the past, and that this also somehow changed the results. So the outcome of what you have been designing and then also implementing. So congratulations already for this presentation and for your submission. I would now like to actually open the coffee break. If there are specific questions to this, to the Beiersdorf, oh sorry, I don't see you anymore, but thank you again. If there are questions, as mentioned, we have also the get together at the end where you can also discuss specific needs for information and feedbacks that you may have. So otherwise we have 15 minutes break until 3 o'clock and then we are going to see the next two finalist presentations.